Thank you, Madam Speaker. To exercise their constitutional freedom and right to associate, to assemble, and demonstrate across the country against the high cost of living. Madam Speaker, sadly, there have been cases of obstruction of the exercise of these freedoms and rights by the police, including reported incidences of harassment and police brutality. This unwarranted use of force against unarmed civilians has especially been experienced in Nairobi, in Kisii, in Kisumu, in Migori, in Busia, in Mombasa, in Makueni, and Homa Bay counties, which has led to the death of more than 20 people, as well as fatal injuries on numerous citizens. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek leave for adjournment of the House to discuss this matter of great national concern, with a view to exploring possible and lasting solutions to this unjustified contravention of the law. Madam Speaker, this afternoon I hold the Constitution of Kenya in my hand. This Constitution that we passed overwhelmingly as Kenyans does two things for me. The two things that stand out for me, Madam Speaker, is that this Constitution makes every Kenyan citizen equal to the other. And in all the things that subscribed in this Constitution, it does not leave any Kenyan behind. Madam Speaker, in cases where there's been unnoticed discrimination, this Constitution comes up with opportunities and clauses that talks about affirmative action so that every Kenyan is brought up to nearly as possible equal as the other. Madam Speaker, in other words, there is no Kenyan who's less of a Kenyan than another Kenyan. Madam Speaker, the next thing that this Constitution did for me is that when you look at Article 244, coming from the bloodshed of 2007 and 2008, the Constitution introduced, very radically so, National Police Service, away from National Police Force. Because the Constitution recognized that in 2007 and 2008, the police were brutal, and a lot of lives were lost as a result. And if you look at 244C, one of the specific mandates that National Police Service is given, and I quote, Madam Speaker, is to comply with the constitutional standards of human rights and fundamental freedoms. End of quote. Madam Speaker, one such freedom is enshrined in Article 37 of this Constitution, where every Kenyan is given a right and an opportunity to picket, to demonstrate, if they so wish. Madam Speaker, a honorable member said that we should not overlook two words: peacefully or peaceably, and unarmed. Madam Speaker, I stand here to say that in the recent past, all the mandamanos or demonstrations that have had no presence of police have ended up being very peacefully. One such demonstration was one that was carried on in Siaya and was reported in our local TV stations. Another such demonstration was one that was carried in Kisumu West 2 weeks ago, where no police was present, and between 11 a.m. and 5:30 a.m., citizens demonstrated peacefully and went home without any incidents. Madam Speaker, it is therefore proven that the police, instead of acting in their protection role, actually provokes demonstrators who are otherwise very peaceful. In the provocation, Madam Speaker, there's tear gas, there's water batons, there's live bullets, which are used to shoot innocent peaceful, unarmed demonstrators. Madam Speaker, I've stood on the floor of this House several times to actually protect the police and to actually fight for better living standards for the police. But on this front, the police of Kenya has failed Kenyans. They've turned into a killing squad. As I stand here today, you're seeing me in a black headscarf. I'm mourning 2 young men from my sub-location. One killed in Kondele at the flyover, way beyond the time of the demonstration. But as he's going home from work, a policeman at the flyover shoots at him. The boy had absolutely nothing. The other one killed in Kitengela. Madam Speaker, if you look at the 20 reported deaths, you will find that most of them were shot from the back. Madam Speaker, when you shoot people from the back, that means they are actually going. They are not even coming towards you to threaten you, but you choose to shoot them because you have the power of the gun. Madam Speaker, in many parts of this country today, Kenyans are mourning. Many of those young people will actually be buried this weekend, Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, we cannot sit and watch this happen without discussing it and seeing how it can be brought to a stop, because tomorrow it will happen to you or your child or your relative. Madam Speaker, despite the fact that the National Police became a service and not a force, Madam Speaker, the curriculum of the training of the police still remains the same. And it's for this House to actually ensure that even the training of the police changes so that the police becomes a service and not a force. Madam Speaker, I don't care which side of the divide you're from. Because when the time comes and you face that policeman with a gun, a policeman who's only been trained to shoot, you will die